Welcome to Big Energy. I'm your host, Kassi Underwood, here to give you a dose of that good energy and talk with people who do it best. Each week, I bring you the knowledge we need to be the forces of nature we came here to be. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. If there is an area of your life in which you feel anxious or out of control, if you're having just feelings of torment, as if it's never going to happen, this episode is for you. We are going to talk all about the 2 words that you need to shift everything and feel free. When we have a high level of anxiety and discomfort in an area of life, whether it's money, romance, friendships, professional relationships, career, creativity, our children, there is one thing that I know for a fact is at play. We want something to happen, and we are terrified that we aren't going to get what we want. We have no chill, and we feel that we need to make sure it works out on our timeline the way we imagine it, or else we are going to be fucked. That's what our brain starts to tell us. And something happens when we directly interact with the thing itself, whether it's our romantic partner that we want to propose to us, our business partner who we want to get their act together, our team who we want to turn things in on time, a person that you think could move your career forward or could impact your bank account, your creative project, or maybe you just want a new friend to really like you. When this happens, when we interact with the thing itself, anxiety spikes. So we engage with the person in some way and anxiety spikes. If fear is present, if we enter the interaction with pre-existing anxiety that we won't get what we want from this person, that they're not going to do it, not going to pull it off, the interaction itself sparks obsession. Maybe you relate to this. Your brain starts working. You finish the interaction with them and then you're having repetitive thoughts, intrusive thoughts, worrying about the impression you left, worrying you need to make a decision. The anxiety, you've messed it all up or said or done the wrong thing, ruined your chances. Maybe you're obsessively fiddling with the creative project rather than just letting it flow through you in the moment, or overcompensating in some way. Then our fear gets legs. And this is where it gets so sexy, you guys. It's so hot when our fear gets legs and we start taking self-seeking actions based on these thoughts. Oh yeah. Texting someone under the guise of normal communication when we're really trying to get them to respond in a way that soothes us. What we really just want from them is assurance that we didn't fuck it all up in our last exchange, or that they're really going to do the thing that they hinted they might do for us. And when they send us back that text, we still don't feel comforted. Or maybe we're nagging our partner and we just keep bringing something up over and over again. Men love this. They find it incredibly sexy. By the way, if you're doing this, don't stop. Just keep going. Maybe we have an interaction with someone and then the anxiety spikes and we go home and we start checking social media accounts as if they immediately took to Instagram to share about their interaction with you. Or start planning the next communication that we will make strategically a few days from now to smooth things over or correct some kind of bad impression we thought we left. In other words, we start behaving out of fear in ways that make our fear more likely to come true. So we conspire to make our own fears come true. And I'm totally going to share a story with you later in this podcast about something really present in my life, something that I was doing that was just a real turn on. We all do it. We all do it. We take actions based on fear. And here's the spiritual truth of this. Any action that we take in self-seeking fear increases the fear. So we think that we're going to take an action, get assurance, nudge something along, and that it's going to reduce our fear. But the exact opposite happens. Any action taken in self-seeking fear, so I'm seeking to soothe myself, to get what I want, to make sure. Any action taken in self-seeking fear increases fear. There's no loophole in this. It's cause and effect. There's no way out of this cause and effect reality. If we take an action based in fear, we will feel more afraid afterward. No matter what our brain is telling us, we will feel more afraid afterward. And when the fear increases, what happens? Well, we usually get the same fucking bright idea. I'm going to take another action based in self-seeking fear and then begin to create what we fear happening. So we just keep doing the same thing. Oh, I'm still afraid. I guess I'll just take more actions based in fear and increase my fear. This is just how we live. It's what we do. People can feel that self-seeking energy from a mile away, whether it looks like people pleasing, even when you think you're being charming. Even when I think I'm being charming, I'll keep it on me. Whether it looks like people pleasing, fawning, white lying, fixing, or something else, they feel our grubby, forceful, think I'm being subtle vibes over here. And in our attempt to make a better impression, we will now leave the bad impression we were originally trying to clean up that never happened in the first place. Or in our fear of not making enough money, we will exude needy vibes to a potential client, and something inside of them will just say, no, I don't think this is the one. In our urgent desire to have someone help us in our career, they will sense our over-interest in them and back away slowly, or maybe even very fast. In our effort to make sure the person we're texting on the dating app doesn't think we're too into them, we will make them think that we're not that into them at all, and they won't pursue. So what is the solution to this insanity? What is the solution? How do we get out of this anxiety loop and feel natural and free? 2 words. Want nothing. Want nothing. Stop trying to get things from other people. Get yourself to honest to goodness neutrality about the matter. You can't fake neutrality. You can't talk yourself into neutrality. It's a vibe. You have to actually arrive at it. You have to actually be in the vibe where nothing inside of you is invested in the outcome. I will now share with you my very present story about this. I just had a shift in this, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. I have a beautiful, hilarious, amazing child from my marriage that ended in the beginning of the pandemic. And I have always wanted to have what I will call a handful of children, like 10. I mean, I get that 10 is very environmentally irresponsible, so I've rolled it back some. And I am a 37-and-a-half-year-old woman. I am dating in a relationship for a year and a half with no signs of momentum. I found myself in this place where I wasn't feeling momentum, and I know what it feels like to be proposed to. I know what that momentum feels like. Wasn't feeling it. I found myself doing calculations about timing of marriage and trying to have a child, and then the length of pregnancy, and then birth, and then healing, and then going again for the second child that we would need to have to satisfy my vision of a handful of children, because I think that a handful of children constitutes more than 2, right? And also, by the way, please do not send me inspirational stories about having children at age like 60, because that is not the point here. You can have children anytime. I know that there is actually a ton of research about this. This is just my fear. It's not based in science. You can have children at any time. That's not my point here. I'm talking about the fear and the behavior that came out of the fear that made me feel trapped. It made me feel miserable. And I was getting a bit impatient with the situation. And I began to mention it to my partner more than a little bit, we'll say. I became increasingly sensitive to everything that was happening or not happening, not just on a daily basis, but literally like scene by scene by scene in our relationship, everything he was doing and saying and not doing and not saying. Needless to say, I was not the only person who was miserable here. And I felt this dark cloud over me. I felt powerless. I felt stuck. I could practically hear the clock ticking every minute of the day. And I began to feel like I needed to make a decision about the relationship. And that pressure to make a decision created even more anxiety because it was artificially created. Without having the question of children in the picture, I wouldn't have felt that. If I was 25, I wouldn't have felt that pressure at all. My experience with decisions, I have made 3 relationship decisions in my adult life. I've lived with 3 different guys. One of them was a marriage. Here's my experience with decisions. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in decisions. There is an inner knowing with a deep peace underneath it all, even if it upends everything when you're ready to make a decision. It's not even a decision. When you're ready, you just have a deep inner knowing with deep peace underneath it all. Even if it will upend everything, there's just this feeling of peace. Even if there's head anxiety, you have like a deep peace. You're not like forcing yourself to choose anything. You just know. And that wasn't what was happening. I was trying to force myself into this power play. So here's what I did, because this is exactly the kind of anxiety that I'm talking about in this episode. And it's exactly the type of unfreedom that can start to rule our life. If it wasn't this relationship, well, in the past, it was my career and who was supposed to be helping me and what I could get from them and what every person I met, how they could move me forward and all that. This just happened to be the desire du jour. Here's what I did that freed me. I took the idea of having more children off the table. I'm not suggesting that we ever abandon our desires and our dreams. This is how I knew that I was not abandoning myself. When I made this decision to take having more children off the table, I felt free. I let go of the idea that my ambitions could or should be met through this person. Transactional relationships, which are relationships where we want something from another person, when we need them to be a certain way or hope they'll advance our career or make it possible for us to have our vision of children. Transactional relationships spark fear and inauthenticity. Loving relationships are for fun and for free. Want nothing from them and you will feel free. Want nothing and anything is possible. Interestingly enough, sometimes from that place, you end up getting what you decided to stop wanting. You just had to stop wanting it. This is a really alien way of thinking for most of us, but it's so freeing. And if you want to feel like you're living on a different planet, if you want to learn more about this alien way of thinking, I'm holding a live virtual event for you. It's called Break into a New Vibration, Big Energy New Year Accelerator. This is for you if you've got inner shit and struggles that you don't want to bring into 2022. You have a dream for your life, not a PR dream. I'm talking about a soul dream that you want so badly you would give a vital organ to have it. And for some reason, that dream hasn't come true. And having a vision, a path, and a plan for manifesting this by December 31st, 2022 would feel like actual magic, then join me. The one reason I have been able to create my life the way I want it is because I know how to work with energy. I simply learned how to break into a new vibration. Part of it is this neutrality that I just talked about. And right now, something that I have always wanted to create, not another baby, but something else, is on the docket for me in 2022. I have a big dream. The outside world would tell me it's not looking good for this dream because of Omicron, because of a million other things, but I have zero doubt that this dream will come true, pandemic or no pandemic. I am currently right now lining up my energy with it. I know exactly what to expect, how to design the dream, the mental and practical pitfalls to expect, what my brain will tell me, how to work with energy every step of the way, and how finally to give birth to the dream. What I desire is on its way. The same is true for you. At this event, you will get crystal clear on your authentic dream, not your PR dream for 2022. You will identify next steps to create your dream. You will understand exactly what you can expect and how to overcome mental, energetic, and practical obstacles. Plus, you will receive personal guidance from me. I will make time for every person on the call, and I'll even stay late to make sure everyone is tended to. Limited tickets are available, so go right now to KassiUnderwood.com. It's KassiUnderwood.com and click the huge pink button that says Break into a New Vibration, Big Energy New Year Accelerator, and get your tickets now. I'll see you there. Mwah! See you next week. That was another episode of Big Energy with me, your host, Kassi Underwood. Were you into it? Go ahead and click the subscribe button and leave a review. You can also find me online at KassiUnderwood.com. See you next time.